Hello, everybody. Give it a few minutes, a few seconds. I don't expect it to be too busy tonight because it's Memorial Day weekend. Well, look at HVAC J. Package on the way. Heavy duty plumbing package on the way. Service Wizard packages on the way. The only real question is how quick does the postal service work? I should say while we're waiting for Turbo. Fucking Ty, you're in freaking Quebec, man. What are you doing? How's your skills competition going? Listen, I'm dropping off eggs for you this week, man. I've got like 6 dozen in my fridge. Why do you feel judged? Anyway, so I don't know when you're back. I'll watch your stories and find out. I'll creep you on Instagram. Oh, you're stuck at the airport. I've been growing my beard since March 2018. Yep. What was the best way? Man, that could go on forever. Van, truck. You know, there's some really nice... you're gone for a whole week. I guess that makes sense. There's some really nice guys that there's really nice truck layouts. Who did I see? He's in Montana. Frickin' hell. Forget everybody's name in the moment. Mechanical Hub showed his van. It was a sweet layout. I guess, yeah, thank you, HVAC Jay. Thank you, Jay. His was really nice. Obviously, Eric has a really nice van. There's so many of them now. With that pack out system, whatever you decide to however you had to set it up, mine's all pack out. It's great. I can carry everything I need, and it's all organized, super sweet. How long have I been in the trade? See, that's the question. Like, if I use the influencer math, then I've been in the trade for like 45 years because I started at 9 because my dad was a plumber. So if I go with when I got my ticket in 96. So that's 28 years. Is that 28 years? I think that's 28 years. Yeah. So pick whichever one you want. When did I started my business in 98. So I don't know. It depends on the whatever your marker is. I was talking to what am I doing? I'm waiting for Turbo to show up. Going live with Turbo. He's probably in his hot tub or building. I don't know. Somebody messaged Turbo for me. Say, where the F are you? Anyway, I was talking to a guy out in Ontario who was, what was my qualifications? He might be a no-show. I saw he freaking put a reminder on it. Yeah, he's making sourdough. I might as well, while I'm waiting, I might as well make the announcement here that I'm going to go, which is a dumb time to go, but whatever. I'm going to Toronto the 27th to the 2nd, which is the Canada Day long weekend. And of course, I don't know how the Americans are going to do it, because are you guys going to celebrate it before and after, or probably the whole freaking week? Who knows? And so we're going to set up a meet and greet there, watch for the location. And as I said, you should start getting a pre-interview. I should. I talked to him yesterday. I guess I'm gonna have to start turning this into like a production. Okay, man. You ready in 4 hours? You ready in an hour? You ready in 45 minutes? Type of thing. Anyway, yeah, I'm going out to Toronto for that week and trying to set something up that Saturday night, which would be the 29th. And we're gonna get pick a location there and just come and I'll buy you your first beer. Adam, did you get your swag? Should have showed up by now. What was I saying? Oh yeah, I'll buy it. Oh, first beer's on me, and it's gonna be the Baker World Tour. I'm getting special T-shirts made up because we're gonna do Toronto, and then in February I'm going to Orlando, and now that the boys are a little bit more involved, I'm gonna start. I'm gonna start ruining everybody's trade show by showing up and laughing at them all. It'll be good. How do you get, dude? You got to DM me, man. You can't buy it. You cannot buy it. It can anybody that has swag. It was given as a gift. So whatever you do with that is up to you. I don't care if you. I don't care what you do with it. You can burn it. You can. Most of the time, it ends up in your girl's drawer. That's right. Hopefully I've got like 5 years left on this crazy, 5 or 6 years on this thing. And then I'm gonna hopefully be fully retired, but I'm not. I just making sure. Sometimes I've sent out probably 300 packages over the last couple of years. And a couple have come back because I put the wrong address in, or I'm stupid. I am the guy that sends it out, so sometimes it's my fault. Sometimes it's the mail's fault. So I just saw your name show up. Where the hell is Turbo? I don't even know how to say it. Is it LLD Mechanical? Did you send me an address? A ton of it. I sent out like 30 packages this week. So, if you're in the States and get it, it comes from Sweetgrass, Montana. That is not where I live. I do it that way because it's way cheaper than using Canada Post and way faster. It comes by U.S. mail, like it looks like it's being sent from the States, which is intentional. So don't send it back to that address. If you're sending me something back, I'll give you my address because if you send it back to that address, it's like salmon going upstream. It takes like 3 months to get there. So anyway, yeah, man. Yeah, we're gonna do the same thing in Orlando. We're just gonna pick a. Yeah, resend it. Like I say, it's if you haven't got it yet, it's not intentional. I don't really know what the hell I'm doing. Verscore, is that how you say that? Verscore? I think your stuff went out this week too. The Canada stuff goes by Canada Post, and it takes about a week. So if Adam just got his, he's way out in Newfoundland, if I remember right. I sent that like a week, 2.5 weeks ago, so it takes a couple weeks to get there, I think. For sure. For sure. All right, Zach, I will send you some shit. As we've all said on here, everybody's an influencer in some regard. Oh, there's Turbo. Phew. Yeah, but see, I'm not doing the influencer shit because nobody's paying for shit, man. I'm in Calgary, Alberta.
Shit. Hi.
Oh, dude, what the fuck? Why are you wearing a cowboy hat? You should be in Alberta.
Cowboy hat. Well, that's why I'm talking to Alberta. I wanted to make the younger gens figure out, they're in Alberta. Are they both in Alberta? No.
No.
Anyway, the Oilers lost, so wah. Anyway, how you doing, Bob?
I'm doing fabulous, buddy. How are you?
Mm.
Plaid
Working on metal siding
shirt?
today.
What? You're not working today? You out with your
I
girl or
am.
what?
No, yeah, yeah. I pulled off the orange ring suit, and literally, when I came, that's what I was yesterday. It's cold here. So, nope, hold on. Mic muffled. How's that?
That's better.
I literally just donned the rig suit, and here I am. So, yeah, working.
Nice.
I'm like, yep, these are clean. When you wash your hands, you're like,
I
someone
know.
sees you eating food, and I'm like, uh, my girlfriend's watched me wash my hands. I'm like, this is clean.
Yep.
How long into a holiday if you go on one? You're like about 4 or 5 days. I'm like, my hands, they're noticeably pink.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
takes about 4 or 5 days of
Yeah.
not working at all before it fucking
Uh,
cleans up, right?
how many times have you done that in your life? Right? 4 or 5 days of no work. I'm like, when I see it, it's noticeable. Right? I'm like, look at my. Yeah, it's funny.
It never, even when it's a long weekend, I'm working out here, so it's either got
All right, well,
chicken guts or chicken poop or and
yeah.
dealing with goats. It's always something.
But and you know what? It's if you do a lot of shit happens. Right? You live a life where it's like, you know what? It's a lot of work. We don't do 9 to 5. It's when it presents itself, and sometimes that's often
No,
emergencies, whatnot. Like you sacrifice how much of your life for the trade, right? A
no, it's
lot.
been we as you. It's the same as you. We're firemen, right?
Yeah.
Like we,
Yep.
I
Yep.
haven't scheduled. Well, that's not true. I mean, I schedule stuff,
Yeah.
but
But
as soon as I
same as me.
schedule it
Yep.
not by 9 o'clock in the morning. My schedule's different. I'm like, no, we're changing this, changing that. This is
Yeah.
happening.
Well,
That's happening.
Laura was out here for a week working with me, and she was with me for a bit for the calls. And very rare do I have. This is the first time I think that I've had that much time spent with the person that generates the invoice from the language that we use and transferring that across and watching what we do. Right when I'm like, I one-armed 5 horsepower sewage ejector, and she's like, "How much does that weigh?" I'm like, "Well, try to pick it up," and you
Yeah, yeah.
puddle it out of a hole with the chain, and it's like, oh, people look surprised. I'm like, I remember the mechanic, he watched me do it, and you can see the look on his face, and I've seen it a lot, and I've done it a few times in this last week, and I'm like, I'm not the guy to fuck with in the bar, and it's like, you don't look like much, and the last guy took 2 people, and what you do takes you. You're
Yep.
Herculean as well, right? And that's because of, a portion of the segment I wanted to talk about body health, mental health, what we do as men to extend our working career. A lot of the tools that I've purchased in recent time has been to save my body in essence. Some of the stuff I'm like, they're compound leverage. I don't think running plastic as opposed to copper, welding, the trade's gotten easier on my body, and I've bought tools to accentuate that. And I'm sure,
Yep.
I would assume you probably do too, right? Like a lighter drain cleaning machine. And some stuff you're like,
Listen,
Jesus Christ, I'm gonna get a hernia lifting this fucking thing.
one of the reasons that we got away from those drum machines and went with
Yep,
the sectionals because those
yep,
those drum machines are 350 pounds.
right. And that one Milwaukee they made, it had a crawler on it for a fucking reason, right? I'm like,
Yeah.
young guys in the trade, the sectional machine, brilliant. But as we age, right, I'm like, I'm 52. I feel like I'm in great shape. However, if you're playing the long game, which I think we probably are, we're going to continue working for a little while. And if not at home doing renovations, helping our family, setting our kids up, and whatnot, that extension. Like, I need to help my body keep going. And some of the tools that we buy is exactly that. For me,
Well, I
lighter,
just bought
a
that
load better, you know?
crazy, that $5,000, whatever it is, that Powermade thing
How do you like it?
for for we're going to do it this
Yeah,
week. We're going to change
yeah,
to big commercial tanks, and I've
yep,
always done it basically by myself,
yeah, yeah.
right? And as you well know, there's some risks involved in doing that. You sort of ratchet up some stuff
Yeah,
to
yeah,
put in the
yeah.
safeties.
Uh-huh. Well, it's like, I've got a crawler that I have for water heaters, for a commercial water heater. It's got a safety belt on it. It doesn't have a ratchet, but it's you've probably seen me use it. It's that like a little gear-driven hydraulic
Yeah,
lift
yeah,
that
yeah.
go, or it's a winch-driven system. It'll apparently lift 700 pounds. I've had my wood stove on it, welded a cradle in below it, like something like that, and it's got a stair crawler feature. These rubber tabs that come around.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
At AHR, I saw some gyroscopic ones. They were fucking expensive, but you literally battery controlled, up it
Yeah,
crawls. It will not,
that's what this is.
tip over.
Yeah,
It's on a gimbal. I'm like, what? And the
yeah.
stairs are like these rubber mat things. They won't fuck the stairs up. And I'm like, I mean, but it gyroscopically pivots on, and it's like, oh, did you get that one?
No, it's not gyroscopic because I mean this one, you know what's like in Canada right now. This one cost me five
Yeah,
k.
yeah, yeah,
If
yeah,
I
yeah,
want
yeah.
one like that, it's like 22 grand. I'm like,
I,
well,
because at AHR, the guy, and I'm like, and the first thing I say when I was there, I watch it and I'm like, okay, that, because the guy's lifting this fucking ridiculous boiler. He's like, this thing weighs X amount, and he's like, and he's up on there and he's using 2 fingers, and he goes, he
yeah,
just clicks it and it walks up. I was like, okay, I love it. That
fuck.
technology is military, but what does it cost? Right, we got to be reasonable. Like you've probably done them by hand. I had a couple of clients that get the commercial 800 pounders, and I would literally see guys on the street, and I'm like, hey, would you mind giving me a hand? And people say yes. And I've humped up boilers like one up, one down.
Right?
You take the good one up and the shitty one down. So, right? And you,
My
you
fa-
you literally man lift it.
yeah, my favorite story is I changed a couple of hot water tanks, and my van was full. It was when I had the van back in the days, and I had a big rack on top of it. So I took my extension ladder and rolled it all the way out, like as long as I could, so the angle wasn't very steep,
Yeah.
and pushed it up 2 fucking hot water tanks on the top of my and ratcheted down. The chick that was
Yeah,
there, she's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm taking your
yeah.
hot water tanks. I ain't
I'm
coming
getting
back."
it done. I
Yeah,
don't have a trailer, and guess
yeah.
what? As tradesmen, we're like, I think it'll hold. Right? You're like, pray to God. You're like, my life, I don't know. Those bolts were pretty big when I put that thing up there. And you're like, is it rated for that? No.
No.
We dumped a commercial water heater in the bottom of a bin once, a fair while ago, and anyway, in a complex, and we threw the water heater in the dumpster, the commercial water heater. So, shit you not, when the company sold, so I'm okay with it. But you're a garbage guy, so you'd fucking be horrified. The guy pulls in,
Yeah.
we watched it, we had a woo. I've done this twice to the same company.
Oh
Obviously,
my gosh.
oh yeah, the fucking bottom of the garbage truck
It
explodes
dropped out.
twice, twice in the same
Holy fuck.
complex. I cut out a water fountain puck with one of those diamond chainsaws. Right,
Oh yeah.
it's a rotary diamond saw. It's got a diamond blade, but it's a chainsaw and it's diamond, hydraulically driven. And I had to pocket cut a drinking fountain in. So I cut the bottom, cut the sides, cut across top, and it quick drops down. I think the wall was 13 inches thick. It was it's in a rec complex. I cut it out. I put tires and a pallet on the pool deck, and I pushed it out, and it went bang, and it didn't move. I was fucking heavy.
Yeah.
I did that same thing. We threw that in the dumpster twice. It dropped through the bottom. It was different times, right? The garbage guy, and I was like, I wonder how that worked out. And I see the welders out there, and I'm like, oh, that's because of
you
me.
know,
And I'm
you
like,
know
this
how
thing
it
was
worked
heavy.
out.
I know. Well,
So heavy. Well, like you
somebody
say,
else's
some of
problem.
those commercial tanks are what? Once
800,
they're used, they can be 2,000
yeah,
pounds,
yeah.
man.
Well, it's all silt at the bottom because
Yeah, yeah.
you know that why they failed is they just silted up. Nobody ever looks after them.
No.
And this was probably 4 years old, 399,000 BTU.
Yeah.
It was a 12 tube. I'm like, now everybody
That's
switches
full.
out to the Navian to a boiler system now, right? But
Yeah.
we'll see the ill ways of that in the future. From where I see we're pushing is electric everything, because
Do you
100% of the energy
think,
goes in. The grid
dude?
won't handle it, but in BC they're pushing it, and I'm like,
I know they're
okay, so
pushing it.
uh,
I would.
I don't
I
know.
I listened to a guy named Jeff Rubin. He used to be which he wrote a book. I forget what it's called, the New Normal or something like that. And he was saying that everybody knows electric is dead. Everybody knows
Well,
that. Did
but
you know that Germany's building the first coal plant
what?
in 40 years? Yeah.
No. But here's my confusion with this. We keep a politician stands on something like, we'll be green neutral by 2025. I'm like, knowing full well, let's go 2030, whatever the number is. guys in the industry were like, I went to that place where the gas connectors were on rivers, and I swapped all those out, and I looked at the gas equipment that's there, and what they use it for. The 4-burner, you've done lots of commercial work, and to get that same cooking equivalency in power, if you're going to try to go electric,
who's going
you're going
to pay
to
for that?
Well, the
You know
conversion.
those little
I know.
restaurants.
Yep.
You know what does it cost to open a restaurant? We'll just throw out a number, 150K, right?
At least.
And I mean, I know the industry because I work in it a lot.
Yep.
I mean, those guys are working on like 8 to 12% margins, right?
If you're lucky. If you're lucky. Right?
If you're good at what you do, 8 to 12%. And you're telling me the government's going to say, rip all this gas out, and here's your electric. Your electric bill is going to be what? $30,000 a month?
Well,
and you're not going to be able to cook?
Well, here's what's going to happen. In Vancouver, they stopped, just like in Los Angeles, they stopped running underground buried lines for gas. So if you want gas, you're going to be piping propane in. So I don't know what the rub is here. Somebody's either crooked. I mean, can you imagine? Like this bullshit that's going on, we're running out like our carbon tax, the cost, it's just nonstop in Canada. You're in the oil field, you guys know, right? So I don't know what people are going to do because everybody's migrating away from it. And I think the fuck up with electric cars in a northern climate don't work. We know they don't. Yet companies like Ford, they invest heavily and then they rescind and pull it back. Our technology shift is going to be very fast because they're pushing it so hard. If we switch over to electric, Europe has seen it. The reason why Germany is switching to a coal-fired power plant is the reliability of their grid. They need a powerful source to run their energy grid, which they do not have. Nuclear is a dirty word. I'd be like, you know what? Russia, I'm really sorry. You know, China, let's all fucking play nice. Get rid of the nuclear weapons and we're going to convert to energy, right?
But
Ish.
The problem is those, like, the Western Europe has told Russia and China for what, 15 years to go fuck themselves.
I know.
Right?
I know.
It's like it's like the girlfriend principle, right? If you treat your girlfriend like shit and she leaves you and then you come to your senses like 5 years later, it's like, sorry baby, I screwed up. She's gonna be like, dude, there's a new man and you're a piece of shit and I've already made new
isn't that ridiculous?
I have new plans. You're out of the picture.
Out of our arrogance, we do this, hey, as humans, and we're like, as the energy source is there. I don't believe we're ever going to use nuclear weapons. God forbid we ever have to. Don't think that we ever need to. So take that energy source, and I don't know. That's a lot of power sitting somewhere. But logically, because if we're getting rid of oil, which is basically the rub of what I hear, I don't see it myself.
We're not though.
Well, but
you guys are building LNG plants right now.
Well, we've got in Squamish right now. There's an LNG plant literally going in.
Yeah.
I can't remember what the cost is ballooned to, and I see workers going there all the time. I drive by it. It's on the coast. You can see it. There was a wood fiber processing plant that they've converted to liquefied natural gas storage, which is odd because so if we're investing billions, Bub, why shove the electric down my throat when we're fucking still going hard? I'm like,
because they're getting paid. As you know, the politicians are the ultimate influencers. Somebody is greasing those guys and saying, "Listen, Robbie, for 100 G's a month, you got to push electric. Listen, man, I'm converting my whole house to it. It's the way of the future. Blah 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 blah. It's absolute bullshit.
But at what point does a society stand up? I guess is the point. Because we're going to watch this in the industry. I see the electrical logic of it in a way, in a city, pollution, smog. But the driver of that energy source is going to be petroleum. Yeah. As cars, I don't think so. It's going to be a hydrogen fuel cell of some type. I think oil will never disappear.
It's never.
And as an energy source,
you already have, not to go like this. I don't want to turn this into some crazy political thing, but you have that BRICS thing where it's Brazil and China and Russia and Spain just signed on. They're all like, you know what? Screw this green energy shit. We're going to produce our own stuff. And so China's pumping out fucking nuclear and
I got all that, but look at our country, in Canada in particular. We got a lot of American buddies probably on. Look at Canada in particular. We pay a carbon tax. I'm like it seems ridiculous to me.
It
I
is.
don't.
Well,
And then the government's going
it's
to
just
swap and
Trudeau
go
being
back
an
and forth.
idiot.
Yeah, they need the
It'll
money.
last. I mean, that's this election that's coming up in the next year or so will all be about that. And the second Pierre gets in,
I know.
carbon tax is out. They're gonna.
So
If
it's going to be interesting for us because we've got that's 2024 is election years this fall maybe, right?
Yeah.
The access tax, I get all that stuff. So as the next government, if they can get rid of that and rescind, because the boomerang in Vancouver is, I believe the year is 2030, where they're like no more fuel appliances, and I'm like,
dude, that doesn't. That's like.
but when they say it, I get a giggle because I'm like, I want to hold on to some boilers now and buy a couple gas products because it'll be at one point if they get this far with it. Like I think it's ridiculous. If what they've said is correct, 6 years, we're probably still going to be working, and they'll be like, you can't get that. Like the production companies will be like, we no longer manufacture gas.
They already changed. You've already seen it with the car companies.
I know.
Like GMC 2 years ago, it said, no more gas vehicles as of 2030, and they came out like 3 months ago. It's in the news.
Yep.
Like actually, we're shooting for 2045 now. I'm like, yeah, like
I know.
It's like me saying I'm gonna be in Mr. Olympia in 2030, and then when 2030 shows up, and you go, Bob, what's going on? I just need a couple more years, bro.
Yeah.
Just a couple more years, please.
Because the place,
like there's no way.
Some of the boilers we work on, like I think the total connected load. So the 670 I was working on is 512 kilowatt, and I'm like, okay, so 500. There's 4 of those in one room.
Yeah.
So that's kilowatts per hour. Like that's it's a very powerful gas burner at 100%. So they want to change that. It's coming. They want to change it out to electrical. They don't have enough electricity in the complex. They've got to run 3. That's one thing. Run 3 new feed lines. Now, that's not even. That's the domestic in this building. That's the domestic plus the heating load for the water, for the pools, all this stuff. It's not even a large complex. That is not talking about what the refrigeration plant would need on the other side. They're ran off electric motors. I don't know what those drive. There's boilers over on that side, so those would be converted. So probably add another 500. It's a lot. That's
dude, it's impossible. Complex. It's impossible. And then nobody. If it wasn't, even if it was possible, nobody has that kind of money.
Yeah.
The
electrical generating station in Whistler in particular, where I can think about. I think of how many restaurants, probably like they say downtown Calgary. Think if you had to convert some of those things back over. Right now, you're like, there's no more gas, and it runs to a problem where you have to what kind of power grid would you need just to service downtown Calgary? Not even like think of what runs on gas where you'd be like, get rid of it. It is a lot.
No,
then add like Teslas and bullshit.
It's
insurmountable. And I'm like, do you understand how much electricity you would require to run Whistler? Like we don't have any gas. So I'm like, holy fuck. I think Site C would have to run transmission lines down to us.
It's literally, and what would the cost of that be? They're already, California now is doing a test run on charging vehicle owners 30 cents a mile because they all have electric, and so they're not getting their gas taxes anymore because nobody's filling up with gas. And so what is the government going to do? We can't screw you this way anymore, so we're going to screw you this way. But imagine paying 30 cents a mile, Rob. 30 cents a mile. In tax.
It just goes to show how much money they're losing on the tax side of it in that particular regard, just in that one thing.
It's impossible.
I mean, look at what our parts. Look at what COVID has done to our parts. I think they've doubled. I think everything's about double, or at least 35, in between 35 and 50%. So double the cost of something. Yeah. I can't believe in the last 4 years. I'm like, I don't see it coming down particularly fast, but it's quite interesting.
I don't think
from a costing standpoint.
I just spent $1,500 on that stupid Vitalik valve. One valve.
Oh, I know. The one that sticks out in my head from a cost standpoint where employees don't know what things cost. Can't remember. It was a bolt together job. There was a whole bunch of pumps in a hotel complex here. I think there was 4 pumps, a bunch of strainer assemblies, and the bolt package I think was $8,000 for the bolts for the job. So the pumps were whatever they were, $25,000 each. And I sent one of the staff members to pick it up, and the look on his face was like he just saw a ghost, and he's like,
Yeah.
the apprentices don't see the cost of things, and I'm like, things have doubled. Like when I quote a job now, I look and I'm like, my God, that's gone up. Look at that valve. What was that valve
Well,
5 years ago, 8 years ago?
when my stupid truck, I bought that thing brand new, $38,000.
Yep.
And I went to, I've said the story before. The engine blew up in it
I remember.
5 or 6 years ago.
Yep, I remember.
And I'm
that.
like, how much is the new engine? Well, it's going to be about 11 grand. I'm like, okay, I'll go shopping for a new truck.
Yep.
And every quote I got was $85,000 to $96,000. I'm like, no. I don't want the LED screen. I don't want the backup camera.
Yep.
Like I want a steering wheel and fucking seats.
Give me a reasonable cost. Yep.
And they're like, oh, this is stripped, man. This is stripped. And I'm doing you a favor. 10% off. $82,000. I'm like,
Well,
and what is it now?
Yeah,
What is one of those Sprinters? Sprinter's $100 grand.
They're $100K. I got a 2016 Eco Diesel, that black truck I came out and saw you with a couple times. I'm like, oh, it's a 2016. I've had to replace the rear end on it. I've had to replace blah blah blah, brakes and whatnot. That's easy. But overall, it's been a good truck. I'm like, oh, it's starting to get older. It's got 250,000 K on it. Bring it in. Give me this truck, but brand new.
Yeah.
For 120 grand.
Right.
I'm like, and they said they'd give me $3,000 for my truck, and I'm like this. You know what? Do you know how much work I can do? Like the rust and whatnot. I'm like, I just maintain it a little better, and I can.
That's what I've done. I'm like, no.
It makes you throw up.
This is the last.
Much money.
It's the last truck I'll ever use. Like it's easier to repair it.
Yep, it is.
And less expensive.
I've got an 06 Duramax. It's a 1-ton, 3,500. And that's my sled truck. I use that for work, and I had a space cap in the back of it.
Yeah.
Most reliable truck I ever owned. I put the least amount of work into it.
That's because
the problem is it's a 6.6 liter diesel, so it is a little thirsty. But from what it would cost me and how many years I would have to pay for it, because I don't have $120,000. It's cheaper for me to drive my 1-ton, right? Like and learn how to fix it myself. Some things, I mean, but Jesus, man.
What are they going to do? What are they going to do about that? Are they going to ban me from driving my truck? We'll never get that far because it's just like it's impossible. And we legit had minus 54 degree weather here for 10 days this year. Minus 54.
Well,
there's nothing.
You need a powerful vehicle to drive in that. You need the huddle in your home. It's like, it's an interesting thing. The cost of living is just skyrocketed, and the cost of business, like what do you figure your costs have gone up since COVID? 30, 25%?
Oh yeah, 28. Mine's gone up about 28%.
28. Yeah, like those volumetric numbers. As business owners, I'm like, I get the same ledger sheet you get, whether you do it yourself or you pay a CPA to do it. When that file comes to you, you're like, you flip it open, you slide down, there's a line item that says PP. Yeah. What's your profit percentile? And you're like, how much money did I make? It's not how much you know the deal. It's not how much money you make. It's what your profit percentile is. Yeah. Right? Yeah, and expenditures that happen, blah, blah, blah. So that number for us is trackable. The cost. The employees have no clue. Like say it's $7,000 or $8,000. I'm like, yeah, that's the bolt package. Get the fucking things in the truck. Let's go. Put them in. Yeah. He's in the shock and awe that it cost $8,000 for bolts. I'm like, no, I know. That's what like the cost of that valve you just dropped and fucked up those $1,500. You're like, yes,
we just opened. I just opened the books to the boys this year because they're gonna. I'm like, okay, we're gonna start. You guys gonna start seeing into the business, what it means, how it works, where we're at. Yep. So we did a couple hour thing, and I'm like, here's the number that I show them the number, our gross number, and Pete's like, you made that much money? I'm like, hang on a second.
His eyes light up, and he's like, you're a fucking criminal, and you're like, would you stop it? Yeah, 100%. Because the look, he's like, you're ripping people off because I know how much you work.
Totally
and then you're like, whoa, we got to peel off that vellum of what you think.
Here's our material costs. You spent that much money on materials? I'm like, yep. Let's see how much you cost me. You cost me this much. Yep. Oh, Isaiah cost me this much. Gas. You guys know how much you spent on gas? $22,000 on gas, you dick.
Yeah.
Right?
Vehicle repairs.
Yeah.
The cost, CODB, the cost of doing business is astronomical. The staff and I hated when it happened. Some guy had come out, and there was one guy at a place I worked at, and he always told me when he gave me a check, and I'm like, and I told his boss, and I stopped working for these guys. But anyway, every time he would hand me the check, he'd be like, "Oh, here you go, Turbo. Here's a check for $47,000, whatever the fuck it was. It was a draw on the $250,000 that we were working with." And he's like, "Somebody's going to fucking Hawaii or Mexico." And he would give me money, and I'm like, "You fucking cocksucker. This doesn't even cover the parts that I put in here yet. I'm not at profit margin yet." And I'm like, I make money.
You're the last one.
I do. You know what? Pay yourself first. I'm like, no, it doesn't work that way. The government takes their cut first and then peel off your shit.
That's why. I mean, that's why I got a new housing, because we would do a complex, and you would do basically the 4-payment draw. You get your initial, and then you get your rough in, then you get your finish, and then they hold back your 10%, which is the money you make, right, as your holdback.
That's right. Yes, that's right.
Every one of those guys
straight off the top.
Yeah, those guys. Because I work for terrible people. Every one of them we're ripping off. Here's your clawbacks of all the stuff you fucked up on this job. Yeah. So here's your check for 20% of what you should have. I'm like, we would go to court anyway. It's fucking nuts.
The money draw with people is quite challenging, right? Getting that cash back out of your business. When you're in a similar position as me, I want to scale it back. I want to hand that mantle off. And I'm like, maybe my son comes around in order to do that. You've got the boys to run it. I've got me. So when I decide to shut it down, I walk away. So I've got to try and gauge, how long I'm going to live for. That's why some of the things that I do, I've got, like, I call it my turbo spa as a joke, but I'm like, body maintenance is very important as we get older. Even the young guys. I mean, look at the shit that I used to do when I was, hump boilers in by yourself. You're like, you scare the shit out of people. And they're like, we got to bridge the distance because we're not younger, right? So as we get older, for sure, I'm still going to do that and work with the boys. And it's like, I want to work a long, I'm going to need to work for a bit to keep entertained,
Yeah.
The
beautiful thing.
What do you envision your last 10 years of your thing? Like, when do you want to work till? When do you want to actually put the tools down? And be like, I'm done?
I will never. Same as you. Yeah. I don't think I'm going to go. Dennis is just saying that he shows everybody his costs, which is, we do the same thing with the boys now that they're part of it.
Yeah.
Never really used to do that before. Just to answer Dennis's question.
What's the thing for the boys, to go back to the boys, what are they surprised by? Right? Because they saw the books as your children. They watch you work, they learn, they understand all that. That's it.
How much material
in the business, what are they cost by?
They were shocked by the material costs, and then the secondary costs of, like, insurance, gas, maintenance, taxes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're like, because you pay, as you pay corporate tax, you pay GST, you pay, again, personal tax if you take anything out, right?
Yep.
You pay property taxes. Like, it just like
it makes you want to puke. Out of that $50,000, Bob, what actually comes to you? That's what they're surprised by. They're like, well, why would you? And it's not bad. Don't get me wrong. It's well done. But you're like, it's an interesting thing, isn't it? Cost of doing business and profit margin.
So to answer your question about, I got 5 years left in actually plumbing, and then I know you talked about going teaching and stuff, but I don't think I could handle sort of working as a government worker, because it would be unionized a bit. You know what I mean?
Well, it'd be very organized.
It is here in Alberta. Like, you're working for SAIT or NAIT, so you're now part of that system. I don't think I could do that. I would probably, and here's the plug for everybody. I'd probably go work as a manufacturer's agent or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, go sell shit and tell everybody how great it is. Maybe I'll go work for SharkBite.
Oh man, you could be an influencer. Well, I mean, I guess here's the thing: as like from our trade knowledge, what would you not be good at if you believed in it? Here's the thing: you have to believe in your product. But I could sell we're salesmen. We always have been. That's why we run our own business. I could fucking sell ice to an Eskimo.
Yeah.
So, what do you believe in that you could sell? And that's an interesting question. Like for OSB, sounds a little ass kissy, but I'm like, the other day it dawned on me. I'm like, as I put the drain assembly in, I click the package open, doo-doo-doo, dump it on the thing, fucking slam her together. And I'm like, and it literally hit me right then where I'm like, has this ever failed? I'm like, never. And how many finishes have you done? Where you're like, tighten shit together.
I was laughing at your thing because
It blew
I've
me away.
actually pulled out 2 OS and Bs, and they were the ABS kits where the spud nut spins in, and there was no threads in it.
No threads, missed from the factory. And I'm like,
Yeah.
like say for me, I tried to think back to, because I remember that shit. I've had the O-ring not assembled in the ProPress where I'm like, it didn't fall out. It just never got installed. You know, some weird shit. Same thing. Fittings that make it through the production line. Can you imagine how fast they fly out of that factory? And the thread's not done. And I'm like, this is like a welded fitting that's not meant to be welded. This just didn't get drilled out. You know?
I do. The only reason I remember it because I didn't look, right?
Funny.
So you know what it's like. You're holding one hand and your arm is like that much too short. You're like, come on, for the love of everything holy, please, please. And you finally pull it off, and you're like, oh. And this was before the days of Instagram, but you're like, oh my, walk that thing across the fucking room.
Nobody believed me if I didn't, you know, if you didn't video, it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. We got a couple of questions in here, I think.
Oh, we got, look at Tiny HVAC. He calls, he's got Garage Cowboy. I'm like, you know, that guy from Minnesota, you know, special breed them.
That's what maybe that's what I'll do is I will go. I'll flip the sides and become full influencer.
Oh, you know what?
I got a big ass garage. I got a big ass driveway.
Well, that's why teaching for me, I think it would be like a comedy show. Becoming a full bred ass kissing influencer. Be like, fuck it, Bob's become the biggest hypocrite in the world. And you're like, fuck you guys. You know what? I'm on the other side of this. I'm making bank. I got an OnlyFans page for tools. And you're like, but you go feed your chickens with all your shit on, and you're like, I'm gonna still mask. You know, because I
do like that NASCAR thing. I'll just have badges all over the place. I'm like, this is what's brought to you today by.
My left nipple is available for $5,000 a month, and guys would be like, "Oh, we're gonna have to pay it."
I probably shouldn't say this, but whatever. Matt from Central Thermal is like, dude, we'll do like a fucking charity if you get a tattoo. Like, we'll put it out there, and whatever people donate for you to get tattooed, we'll send to charity. I'm like, dude, there's no way. I'm not doing that.
A Centrotherm tattoo, Bob. You get $100,000, you're like, fuck it, I'm a lying hypocrite. I'm doing it. Bob got a Centrotherm tattoo. Well, because the influencer thing comes around, and it loops in a circle, right? You'll see guys that go off and do their jobs, their careers, that pay the bills because they're fucking expensive. And then when does the research of the influencer come up where it kind of it hits you the same way it hits me? I've unfollowed and blocked a lot because I just fucking can't anymore. I'm like, just tick, tick. If I don't see it, it doesn't bother me. That's the way I look at it. And I'm like, what is it? AHR, some of the trade show things that people go to, the Red Line event, like the big parties where guys are like, they get given shit for free, and we know where we both stand on that. Like, what's the best tool do you figure you've ever bought that's made you the most money? I don't care the cost of what it was, but like, or the reliability. Probably a rigid product, I would think.
No. You know, if you want to go with recent, I bought that, 5208 like 5 years ago, and I paid for it in the first job. It's a $6,000 machine, and we use that thing all day, every day.
It literally
probably has made me,
like, it's
probably made me $250,000, probably.
And what, $6,000? Like, the return on investment on stuff like that, it's like, it is unbelievable. The cordless stuff, like that cordless Milwaukee, that lever you got, how do you guys like that compared to the rigid 1500?
Is there I don't use it. Full disclosure, I don't do much drain cleaning anymore because I hate it. It's dirty. It's nasty. So it's literally the boys that do it.
No problem.
He really likes it because it's quite small. You know what I mean? And most of our stuff is, it's commercial, but it's restaurant stuff. So you're dealing with 2-inch, 3-inch lines. Usually within the first 30, 50 feet is as far as you need to go. We use a 5208 for the big stuff, like we're 4-inch and above. And we do a couple of property management companies that sort of look after a bunch of yards. You know what I mean? Like,
so it's constant work.
Yeah.
Good money.
And so,
Jesus.
they both get used like crazy. I know Isaiah's been really impressed with that. He's got the littler van, so which he likes, and so that little Milwaukee. It's literally there's two of them. There's the section. If you Google it, I don't know the numbers. The first one comes up is the big one with the big wire, and we have the smaller one, which is freaking awesome.
The flex shaft I was done with. I got rid of mine. I couldn't deal with the flex shaft anymore. I don't like for a drain snake for a little kitchen one. The Milwaukee auto feeds seem to be not bad. They work well. The rigid ones, I've had a bunch of those. Guys are always like, "What's the best investment?" I'm like, "It's like a pair of skis." I'm like, "It's depending on the snow condition, the size of the line, the length of the run. Like, there's so many things in drain cleaning in particular that if you want to make great money, your investment is small and your return is big, but you're literally doing shit all day, like augering, blah blah blah. I like a diversity.
Shit all day.
For me, gas fitting, like boiler fitting, stuff like that. The diversity of work keeps the trade fresh. I don't mind going to work, right? I don't fucking hate it, and it doesn't feel like a prison sentence to me. I enjoy my work.
No, I agree with you. That's why we do what we do, because I can, we work. If anybody follows our stuff, like every day is something different. We're not.
Yep.
We're either cleaning a drain, working on a boiler, changing the hot water tank, rerunning water lines. It just never ends.
Ones, stainless ones, like it. The diversity of our work is quite interesting. Like say Laura was here for a week and we tootled around doing a bunch of different stuff, and she's just like, "Wow, you get a day in the life, right?"
Yeah.
So,
yeah, like you say, if you're going to go into, somebody asked what the typical question when you should buy. If you're going to go into drain cleaning, then you need a hand auger, right, for basins and shit. You need a toilet auger, and then you got to have something that can do up to 4-inch. And I guess that depends on what you're.
You need a main line going out of the house. If you're going to get into bigger commercial, industrial, if you want some big stuff, your jetter complement. I've got 2 KJ3000s. I got a 4,000 PSI jet wash.
That thing is a beast, eh? I love that thing.
Man,
we had an entire hotel backed up.
Yep.
300 rooms. The mechanical room was sunken, which was the only thing that saved it. Like it was like a half a story deep.
Yep.
And the beautiful thing is we came in there, we cleaned it out with the steamer.
Yep.
You just watch the whole thing just go. And it flooded all the boilers, so we had to replace all the boilers. So when people say, "Why do you do everything?" That's why you do everything.
Mm-hmm.
I cleaned the drain. I made 4K cleaning the drains, and then I made 80K.
I was gonna say
replacing the boilers.
Yeah.
Who can replace
the
this?
ripple effect?
I can.
So because you can step up, you literally are one call. One call does it all.
Yeah.
And the current breakdown where we are right now in British Columbia, where I am, if you come in, you get a plumbing certificate. It's not a license. You can fucking flood every house you ever do. You're still a registered plumber. You don't get it pulled. Can't lose your ticket. We don't pay for anything. My ticket is forever. If I went to jail for 30 years, I get out of plumbing, or I get out of jail, I'm still a certified plumber. I don't pay any dues or fees. Nothing.
Yeah, but they can pull your ticket.
It's a technical qualification. There's no certificate for the plumbing for us. That technical qualification can't be revoked. It's not a license. They can pull your gas license in BC because I'm a gas contractor. They cannot renew my license. They're like, you can go in like that little gas fuck up where the things were reversed. If that was me and we didn't catch that and there was a problem, it would go in front of an advisory committee here. I might have to go in front of them and do
actually, you might be right.
Right. So my gas license is revocable, but my TQ for plumbing, there's no revoking of it. You can't. It's a red seal certification.
I think now that I think about it, every time that we've had, sort of legal get involved with an employee that did something fucked up.
Yep.
One of my employees did something wrong. It was always gas. Mm-hmm. And they were like, okay, if this goes sideways,
that's right.
Then they were going to pull this guy's gas ticket.
Exactly.
Not his plumbing one.
Not the plumbing. In Ontario, I believe theirs is you have to pay for it. And I think in Quebec, it's even more. Talking to Pepe. That was an interesting thing.
It's crazy, the difference, right? I've been talking to a few people in Ontario, and they, you can type in somebody's name, and it'll show them if they've got what certificates they've got.
Yes.
Do you have that there?
No. I've got.
Neither do we.
I can send people Like it's a public information. I've got a TQID number, so I can go into technical safety, and I follow in through the portholes, and I can find my registration numbers, all of them. What I got in school, all the registry marks. That's public information. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. People can check. They're like, and I think in my entire career, it was a little while. I think one lady once asked me for my TQ. She goes, "Can I see your qualifications, please?" And I'm like, "What?" I was amazed at the work we did. I always blew me away. You'd go to someone's house, no permit, rip the fucking house apart. You could just spend a lot of money. And I'm like, not once did they ever ask me if I was qualified to do what I'm doing. How do you know I know what I'm doing? I was blown away.
Yeah.
Like a licensed mechanic. You're like, I want to see a registry number. I'm like, look at what we do in people's houses and the responsibility
You're not wrong.
we take on. You know?
I've never been asked ever to prove that I know what I'm doing. But I did think it was here in Alberta for our cross connection. There's actually you can Google or you can go to the city website and they'll show who's approved. And we're obviously Baker, so we're like whatever top 10, top 15 or whatever. So we're there. But I've had guys in Ontario say, this dude's not licensed. I'm like, what are you talking about? He talks like he's licensed. I'm like, he's like, nope. Types it in, sends me the screenshot.
No.
So-and-so, no tickets. No. And then he's like, I'll do me. He does him and sends his, and he's got like 3 of them. I'm like, which is where it's going. But to be honest, I was shocked that they had that and we don't. You know what I mean? Like nobody knows.
Question. Are you trade certified? Where did you go to school? It's a valid question. Your doctor goes to cut you open. You're like, hey, hold on. Can I see your diploma? Your diploma's on the wall.
Everybody, you've been in enough lawyers' offices. What do they have right behind them?
Yeah, I know.
The big fucking.
Yep. Yeah.
This is where I graduated from. Kuman Sunlata or whatever it's called, whatever the fuck it is.
God, school was forever and a day ago. Can you imagine? Like, I thought about being an inspector, and I'm like, oh my God, going back to school.
Could you? They pay you. Inspectors get paid dirt.
That was the problem. When the guys were doing it, when we were talking about going in, I said to the guys, I'm like, I don't think I can afford to take that kind of a haircut yet. Like,
same with teaching, though, don't you think?
I think they're both one and the same. It was about the same price per hour to get paid, the teaching versus the inspecting. I would only maybe consider it if I got hurt or couldn't really work anymore, like physically. My joints are gone. If I can get a new knee, all the bullshit's gonna
blow out your shoulder, something like that.
Yeah, something. And then it's like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm done doing the physical stuff. I need something brain candy. I think school would be like fucking herding kittens, like nailing Jello to a tree. I think you're not wrong. I think the frustration level with what we would put out as tradespeople, I think would probably horrify me, and I'd be dissatisfied. Yeah. Inspecting, I think I'd be even worse. Because now I have guys calling for an inspection saying they're ready.
You'd have to overlook shit.
And because you're like, if you called all the shit that was wrong,
well, that's what
that inspectors miss, if you came into my job, I'd be fucking terrified. I'm like, Baker's coming. Oh, shit. That guy knows his shit. Like, well, we're in trouble.
I agree. So, for me, it would be some sort of, manufacturer's agent, work for one of those. There's a million of them around this town. I'm sure. In a couple of years, I'll start putting out some feelers, and then I'll be. You'll see it. You'll see it, Robbie. I'll let you know.
Yeah.
Next week is a big announcement. I'm gonna.
Well, literally, you'll sell the company.
Start selling shit.
Yep. You'll sell the company. You'll be like, I'm out. It was. I'm on the other side. And with the boys have the company. The Baker name lives on. The legacy moves on. You're the 56. Your dad. All that stuff. And then you're like, you know what? I'm done spinning wrenches, but. Those Khalifi fucking air separators, man. I got good margin on those, boys. You can trust Daddy Baker. You can trust Grandpa Baker because I know my shit. And
I was watching. Who was I watching? He was doing He was doing like the megabyte show. Oh, it was Eric from Mechanical Club. You should go look at his shark bite post that he did a hot water tank on. Like his like the shit that he got, which I thought was funny. Like, dude, posting that, you're just gonna, like, you're just opening yourself up to the barrage.
The hate. It's not a real connection.
Hate.
Oh, so why would he do that?
I don't know. I mean, I guess at the end of the day, it's because he he's got some relationship with Sharkbite,
Yeah.
and they're paying him to do it, or they gave him the product and said, "Pump this out, and we'll."
I mean,
I
look at
it
it and
is
I'm
what
like,
it is.
it's a sign, I guess, of the times too, right? What could you talk about like that you like, right? I'm like, wait, when you watch Eric to do the fucking Sharkbite segment, like what was it, a minute under? I'm like, so what would you envision that to be? It's like that it's a quality product. Like what would you say about it where you could believe him, where you wouldn't sound lawyer like and he sound like an idiot? How does he sound? I haven't watched it.
No, it's exactly what you think.
It's a
He's like,
commercial.
I don't usually do this, but these Sharkbite.
They're
I mean, I'm totally
really
making fun
handy.
of him.
No, I know,
But at the same time, you're like, dude, what are you doing? Like, they're fucking coming for you, bud. The second you're like, click, click. And
so
I'm a guy that uses them all the time for that stupid CPVC transition from the plastic to the copper. We use them all the time.
So those,
but time and place, right?
Well, and that's exactly it. Like a tool in the arsenal that you have. Which jetter would you buy? Which drain camera would you buy? I'm like, honestly, whichever one works for you. So it's interesting because now Sharkbite's got obviously their warranty is phenomenal. It is. I've looked. I think it's fucking. They cover everything. 10 million, the liability, the payment to the insurance company, the deductible, like Upinar. That's why I've got, which is funny, I've got the Upinar version of Sharkbite. Yeah. And so I called the rep and I'm like, what the fuck is this? So I'm like, you know what? And I called them. I was wearing it the other day. I got an Upinar hat. And they send you the swag. I'm like, guys, I don't give a fuck about the swag. I want to see the product. So Class A connectors, cut the end, give it a little chamfer, slide her in. Here's where I giggle. And I'm like, because they're Sharkbite. Fucking call it whatever you'd like. They're push to connect fittings. And I'm like, they'll name them.
Push to connect,
Here's where it gets stupid. So I'm like, all right, send me some. So they give me a box of them. They're a bunch of half-inch, which fucking God knows. So here's what's interesting about it. I go to the wholesale to pick them up. And I'm like, here's what's awesome about these connectors. You can fucking direct bury them, bub. They are rated for direct burial. And I'm like, really? So yeah, I was like,
but how deep though? How deep?
Here's the thing. No, like you can.
Is Alberta deep? Like 12 feet deep? No problem.
Yeah. Yes. So Class A PEX you can bury, right? You can bury Class A PEX. I run Upinar Wurzbo. I run that for water mains. I've seen failures, but it's in a UV degradation issue, and there was one contaminated batch of like 66,000 feet of pipe, where a worker intentionally did some shit. This was years ago. It's the only failure I've seen with Upinar. Whether it be stress and it's funny because when I had my crew of guys, we would buy a different manufacturer of pipe. And they were like, I wouldn't tell them. They would just know how to pull. We were pulling fucking water lines for grow ops and stuff years ago when it was all popular. And I would switch brands, kid wouldn't have any. So I'd need 1,000 feet of half-inch pipe. The guys would noticeably see the difference in how you pull it, Class A. Whether it be Rehaw, which has a push connect. Class A, you can bury. The plumbing wholesale I picked up the pipe from didn't know you could bury it directly. These guys sell the fucking product. I'm like, what? And then I'm like, actually, the expander connectors in BC, the manufacturer says you can bury them. The push to connect, you can bury them. And I'm like, are you fucking serious? No more Series 200 Philmac fittings. I've got some that have
Would you do it?
Buried.
Would you do it?
I have. When I found out you could bury them, I was like, really? I've got some. I could dig it up right now and be like, this complex, I haven't worked here in 15 years. I buried it. I knew that. I've known this for a long time. The burst strength and stuff. I've tested the shit out of Upinar. I have buried it, and I'm like, you know what? I've got a 3-inch line that I don't think I'm going to use, but I got a 3-inch line. I expanded and put it under a paved roadway, right? Because I'm like, this one trailer park complex. It was a lot of fucking money. It was going to be 4,000 feet of 3-inch Upinar expanded with engineered plastic fittings that I was going to bury in the ground. That's how much I trust it. I was like, really? The engineered plastic fittings? I'm like, I don't know about chemical degradation, but I haven't seen it. The old.
Oh, you're talking about expansion, though. You're not talking about push to connect.
The push to connect are also rated for burial. I want to fucking see it.
Have you buried one?
No, I just got them. I'm not gonna fucking bury one of those, but I'm gonna.
Okay.
They're rated for.
Okay. We're gonna kick us out in like 15 seconds.
That's fine.
So
they're rated for burial, right? So I'm like, I want to try one in my yard. I don't know. That's scary.
Yeah. for irrigation or something.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, if they'll support it,
I'll see you in a minute.